From what started as a brand new set with a bunch of brand new Pokemon, offered a brand new way to change the game forever and ultimately just changed, well, the history of Pokemon trading card game forever. This is a history of the black and white set series, whatever you want to call it, the black and white format, sets, whatever. This is going to be the history of black and white all the way up to legendary treasures. So, what started off is black and white. Black and white had some interesting stuff. The first thing it did is it offered us this card Embor. Embor's attack, Inferno Fandango, basically said as often as you like during your turn before you attack, you may attach a fire energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. Basically, you could do this as many times you want in one turn, ultimately allowing you to consistently keep your energies going. It basically just added more energies. It comboed extremely nicely with Reshiram, even though at the time Reshiram morally favored to go with Typhlosion Prime, Emboar was still an amazing combo with it. Emboar was a huge Pokemon as it offered an amazing ability for the game, and it had 150 HP, which is quite a bit for Stage 2. The other evolution Stage 2 Pokemon was Samurai. While this card wasn't as good as Emboar, it still saw some play because of the ability Shell Armor and the attack Hydro Pump, both being some pretty solid stuff. However, the other one, Superior, it just couldn't see as much play. Superior just wasn't, I guess, as superior as Samurai and Emboar was. We also got another nice Stage 2 in the form of Reuniclus, which Ross Cawthon was able to play at the 2012 2011, 2012, one of those years. But he made a deck called The Truth, which is one of the most coolest decks, the most creative and unique decks in the game. The deck basically offered Vileplume from Undaunted with Reuniclus, where you would move the damage from Reuniclus off onto something like Reshiram or Zekrom even, and then with Vileplume keep the item log, and then you would play Blissey Prime down to heal the damage off since Max Potion was imprinted. This was a combo that basically made it that it was impossible to knock out basically made it impossible for your opponent to knock out your active Pokemon. Reuniclus offered an amazing unique ability and helped change the game with that ability. We also got some powerful Stage 1 Pokemon in the form of Zoroark and Cinccino. These two cards would both be used with stuff like Yanmega Prime and Donphan Prime as just Stage 1 beat-em-up decks, as people like to call them. However, some of the biggest cards in this set were the Reshiram and Zekrom cards. Basic Pokemon with 130 HP was game-defining. It was tough to match this 130 HP monster known as Reshiram and Zekrom. Both cards saw extreme amounts of play since Reshiram could be played with Emboar and Typhlosion Prime, and Zekrom saw a lot of play with Pachirisu and Shaman back when we still had the Heart Gold Soul Silver sets. And then once a new card came out, Zekrom saw even more play. We also got Full Arts, which introduced a new style of cards called Full Arts, where some of the best cards in the set would get their own Full Art cards. These cards were extremely popular and extremely beautiful, and the trend would continue to go on even up until now, which I hope it continues on forever because Full Art cards are amazing, just saying. However, we also got some new item cards and some returning ones. First was Plus Power, which was already one of the strongest items we've had in a while. We also got Computer Search, which was used not Computer Search, Pokemon Communication, sorry, I got that name mixed up. Pokemon Communication was a great card for searching out some cards because it allowed you to, wow, what am I saying? This card allowed you to search your deck for Pokemon. It just allowed you to have some kind of like Pokemon kind of support. Since we didn't have Ultra Ball at the time or even Level Ball, Pokemon Communication was the card. We also got Super Scoop Up, which technically got a reprint in this set. A nice card. It didn't see that much play when it first got printed, but we also got that. And then the biggest card from this set, one of the biggest supporter cards to ever be printed, Professor Juniper. This is proven to be one of the most powerful and best supporter cards we've ever had. Basically, it says discard your hand and draw 7 cards. Well, you're like, well, what if your hand's important? Well, not all the time will it be that important. This card proved to be one of the strongest supporters ever and helped change the history of supporter cards for the rest of Pokemon history. After Black and White, we got the set Emerging Powers, which was another interesting set. It wasn't as strong as Black and White, but we still got interesting stuff. A huge card from the set, Gothitelle, had the powerful ability Magic Room. As long as you're active Pokemon, your opponent can play item cards. This made it extremely tough to knock out Gothitelle, especially when you comboed Reuniclus from Black and White. This deck was extremely annoying, as not even Reshiram and Zekrom could one-shot the Gothitelle. Beartic got also printed. While this card wasn't as good, it just offered some stage 1 support with the attack Sheer Cold, which did 50. People would pair this with Undaunted Vileplume to make a pretty interesting combo. However, we got some new big basics, Tornadus and Thundurus. Tornadus was probably the better of them, the two. Thundurus didn't see play up until the next set, Noble Victories, but was still a powerful card nonetheless with Disaster Volt. However, it really shifted towards Tornadus. Tornadus saw good play with the attack Hurricane. This was played a lot with Celebi Prime and Shaman, I think. This was a great combo, and, well, 3 for 80 at the time was pretty good, especially being a big basic with 110 HP. We also got them in full arts, which also continued the trend of getting Pokemon in full art versions. However, we also got an annoying item card called Crushing Hammer, proving to be one of the most stupidest cards ever printed, in my opinion. Seriously, if you play this card, you're a knobhead. But Crushing Hammer proved to be a strong card, while not seeing play at the time. We also got another strong item, which at the time didn't see much play, Max Potion. This card is proved to be the best healing card we've probably ever had in the game. However, a big bombshell wasn't even the two supporters, Charon and Bianca, which were two new draw supports we got. No, it belonged to Pokemon Catcher. Pokemon Catcher proved to be one of the biggest game-breaking cards in the set, almost making Stage 2 decks completely unplayable at times. Basically, before this card got its nerf where you had to flip a coin, you didn't have to flip a coin. It was basically a Lysander in the form of an item card. People hated Pokemon Catcher, and it was extremely broken. Thankfully, it got nerfed, and, well, got nerfed big time when Lysander came out. Pokemon Catcher was one of the most frustrating and powerful cards in the game. However, after Emerging Powers, we got Noble Victories. Noble Victories had a lot of good cards in it. The first good card you could count was basically this Victini. This card wasn't the hyped card of the set, but it was the most interesting of the set. Its ability Victory Star allowed you to reflip a coin when you use an attack. This card comboed extremely well with another card from this set, which I actually love. I actually played this deck a lot back when Noble Victories was in its prime. We had Vanillux. Vanillux Victini was a very powerful deck. Double Freeze was a strong attack. Flip 2 coins. This attack does 40 damage times number of heads. If either of them is heads, the defending Pokemon is now paralyzed. Well, this card was known as the VVV deck with Vanillux, Victini, and Vileplume. Try saying that 5 times fast. That deck was extremely strong as Vileplume shot out the items, and then with the Paralysis Lock, it was really hard to win games. Vanillux, Victini was a strong combo. Some other interesting stuff was Kyurem, which was used a lot with Cobalion from the set, with Electrode Prime making a powerful deck called Cake. Cake standing for C as in Cobalion, A for, actually I don't even know what A standed for, but K as in Kyurem, and then the E as in Electrode Prime. Kyurem was an interesting card as it also had the outrage attack like the two other dragons had from Black and White, and its attack Glaciate was also a strong attack with Stage 2 decks seeing play. Cobalion was another nice card from the set. While not seeing as much play, it still saw play because of its attack Ironbreaker and stuff like, well, Cake, as I just said. However, we also got its other brothers, Terrakion, which saw a lot of play when Dark Explorers came out, but not at the time. We also got Verzian, probably the worst of the three. This card didn't see much play at all because it wasn't that good. However, we got stuff like Chandelure, which also proved to be a pretty big card in the set, as this card saw play with Vileplume, where you didn't even need to, with Dodrio and Vileplume, where you didn't even need to attack with this card. You literally just used Curse Shadow as your ability with stuff like Max Potion and whatnot, proving to be a very strong deck. Another interesting card was Archeops. Well, it didn't see any play at all, considering it had to get in play while by using fossils, which was really complicated at the time. It was still an interesting ability. We also got Hydreigon, which at the time, I loved this card. I remember I went to the pre-release and tried to get like 4 of these, and I did. and I found out the deck wasn't that good because you had to play with Emboar, but we also got Hydreigon, which was another interesting card from the set. However, the biggest Pokemon from this set was by far Electric. Electric was definitely the game-changing card from this set. Its ability Dynamotor offered you a lot of energy acceleration for lightning types, which would play a big role with the cards Zekrom EX and Thunder with Zekrom and Thundurus, but it also played a big role when its next Destinies came out. Some other interesting items we got was Super Rod, which is getting a reprint actually in the next XY set, by the way. But this card was nice as it offered you a chance to get your energies and Pokemon back, which was really nice. And then we also had Eviolite, which was an interesting card that, since we didn't have Muscle Band at the time, people just ran Eviolite. However, the biggest supporter from the set, hands down, was N. N was hands down the biggest card from the set. Well, maybe Electric, but it was definitely N. N was another game-changing supporter card as it offered draw support since Professor Oak's new theory got rotated, but it also offered disruption at times. This card is getting rotated, but it still saw a lot of play back then, and it still sees a lot of play right now. After Noble Victories came the biggest bombshell of Pokemon sets, Next Destinies, which offered one of the biggest game-changing cards in the history of Pokemon, Mewtwo EX. This card literally changed the game forever. This thing was a massive tank. Remember Zekrom and Reshiram 130 HP basics? This thing was a basic, but it had 170 HP, which was massive at the time. Or if you wanted to go even bigger, you could count stuff like Kyurem and Regigigas, which isn't in this because it sucked, but stuff like this had 180 HP, which went past the 170 barrier Mewtwo had. However, Mewtwo is the biggest card from the set. X-Ball was one of the biggest attacks in the game. Since DCE was reprinted, you could put a DCE on it and do 40. Stacking energy, people considered this the strongest card we've ever had, especially because, well, it balanced itself out, well, because it was weak to itself. So, in most games, it would just be a Mewtwo war. This card by far changed the game forever. Well, some other EXs we got was Kyurem, which proved not to see much play because it wasn't that good. Same with Reshiram. People tried it with Emboar, but it just wasn't that good. And then we got Zekrom, which was probably the second best EX from the set. This card saw a lot of play with Electric because of Dynamotor, and proved to be a pretty strong deck on its own. We also got reprints of the Zekrom and Reshiram from the black and white sets, which weren't needed but were nice anyways. We also got a Gardevoir, which saw some play with Mewtwo as it offered Mewtwo more ways to do more damage, and made Mewtwo a little stronger. However, we also got a new kind of cards in the set, shiny Pokemon. This was proved to be one of the nicest features, in my opinion anyways, Pokemon has ever done in their sets for secret rares. Remember we had the full art cards with the full art EXs from this set? We also had shinies. Shinies were really nice. While not as effective as the ones that we have now, well, we had now anyways from the other black and white sets, these things were still really nice and definitely were playable. Emboar probably being the biggest, most playable one with Inferno Fandango made it a nice little shiny card to collect. We also got a shiny Chandelure, which was nice, and a shiny Hydreigon. But we also got some big cards from the set. Not only did we get a reprint of Double Colorless, we also got Prism Energy, which was a very strong card, as since the X's were printed, you could run Prism Energy, which was used effectively in a deck coming up in the next set. DCE got reprinted, but then we also got Sky Arrow Bridge, which also proved to be one of the biggest stadium cards at the time. Since it was so heavily on Mewtwo's, Sky Arrow Bridge was nice to get those Pokemon, basic Pokemon, one less retreat cost, and sometimes even a free retreat cost, especially with Celebi Prime Tornadus. And we also got Level Ball, another very nice card as it allowed you to search your deck for Pokemon with 90 HP or less. And thankfully this card got reprinted in Ancient Origins because this is one of the best item cards that we have for searching out Pokemon. After Next Destinies, we got, actually I gotta do this. After Next Destinies, we got Dark Explorers. Dark Explorers was another massive set in Pokemon because the biggest card was Darkrai EX. Darkrai EX proved to be one of the second biggest EX Pokemon we've ever gotten. While not as powerful as Mewtwo, as, well, Mewtwo was resistant, this thing did resist Mewtwo. This thing had a pretty tough weakness, as this thing made Terrakion from Noble Victories rise up and play. However, it had Dark Cloak and Night Spear, which at the time we also had Dark Patch, which was combo nice with it, and there's a reason why Darkrai Mewtwo won World Championships that year. However, we also got some other strong EXs like Tornadus EX. Well, not seeing any play anymore, unfortunately. Tornadus at the time was another big EX Pokemon. While it was weak to the lightning types, it still offered as a nice attacker with blow through and power blast, proving to be another really strong EX. We also got Sableye, which is a nice card to run with Darkrai EX, which comboed a little nicely with stuff like Dark Patch, Pokemon Catcher, and Enhanced Hammer, another new card from the set. Also, we had Zoroark, which didn't see much play at the time. It would be a cool, fun deck to try out with Darkrai EX, as it was a nice Stage 1 attacker that did damage. However, we also got some other things from this set, like a Selgor, which proved to be a very strong card once Mew EX came out, and was used nicely with Gothitelle, and even now with Trevenant and Expanded. Selgor proved to be a very threatening deck. Also, we got Empoleon, one of my favorite Stage 1 Pokemon. This is one of my favorite Pokemon cards ever made, in my opinion. It's just a nice card, especially with Archie-Ace in the hole. But we got Empoleon, which saw play with Terrakion at the time. We also got Raikou EX, which was a nice addition to the electric decks, as it offered a little more diversity than just using the simple Zekrom, Mewtwo, Thundurus in the electric decks. You could run Raikou to go and snipe those Pokemon on the bench. We also got Groudon and Kyogre. Well, Kyogre wasn't even that playable. Groudon was playable, as it saw play in John Roberts' second Klinklang deck, who utilized Prism Energy, Rainbow Energy, and Max Potion, which proved to win the national championships, because it was tough to knock out, because you could just move the energy off and then bam, Max Potion. Dark Patch helped because it obviously assisted Darkrai. Enhanced Hammer, one of the most annoying Pokemon cards ever printed, apart from Crushing Hammer, was also in this set, proving to be a nice way to counter Mewtwo's and even that Klinklang deck. We also got Random Receiver, which was a very nice addition, as it allowed you to grab your supporter cards a little easier. We also got a reprint of Rare Candy, which a lot of people liked. However, the biggest item card from this set was Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball is hands down the best Pokemon search card we've had and have at the moment. You may have to discard 2 cards from your hand, but you can get any Pokemon you want, which proves to be one of the strongest cards in the game. A lot of people consider this to be the biggest item card and the game-changing item card we've ever gotten, and it's probably the most expensive as well. We'll get to that later. We also got Hooligan's Gym and Cast, which was a nice little fun supporter card, and Dark Claw, which was the muscle band for dark types at the time, which really made Darkrai strong. We also got a Golden Catcher, which introduced the new age of golden item cards, which we'll talk about very soon, as golden item cards play a huge role very soon in the changing of this game. Also, we got some interesting shinies, like Shiny Gardevoir from the last set, and Shiny Archeops from Noble Victories. After Dark Explorers came a new set that offered a new type of Pokemon, the Dragon types, and also offered one of a very strong Dragon type, Rayquaza EX. This card saw a load of play with Emboar and Electric, proving to be one of the strongest decks, as it could just, well, do a lot of damage with Dragon Burst, as you could do 180, which capped out and knocked out those big EX threats. Another nice card we got in this set was Bufalon, which was a great way to counter EXs, as it did 3 for 120, and with its ability, it was tough for EXs to sometimes knock out Bufalon, and a lot of people like to use this card to kind of get around EXs. Another EX in this set, which I know Puka liked, was Ho-Oh EX. Rebirth was a very nice ability, as people found it as a cool way to energy accelerate with Energy Switch, as you could just put in your discard with Ultra Ball or Juniper, and then bring it back with energy and use it as a way to accelerate the energy to give you some new energy acceleration. Other than that, we also got stuff like Mew EX, which was a nice EX Pokemon with a Selgor, as Selgor Mew Gothitelle saw a lot of play at the time. And even now with Trevenant, obviously. And Mew still sees play today with stuff like Night March. Another nice Stage 2 Pokemon, which was talked about, was Garchomp. Garchomp wanted to see a lot of play with Altaria. Unfortunately, with the X's being so OP, Garchomp Altaria just couldn't see that much play, but Altaria could be a nice card for Dragon-type decks in the future. We also got another big card, Hydreigon. This card was by far a huge changer, as it helped out with the Darkrai. Especially as John Roberts II introduced that Klinklang Max Potion combo, it also introduced the Darkrai combo, as you could use it with stuff like Blend Energy, and it proved to be a very, very unstoppable deck if it got going, which most of the time, let's face it, it did. Some other interesting stuff was Ninetales, which had a built-in catcher as an ability, Driftblim, which could be a fun way to counter Mewtwo, Emolga, which was good for Call for Family, Sigilif, which a lot of people liked because it countered EX Pokemon, which we badly needed at the time, and we also got Garbodor, which at the time wasn't that popular, but soon rose to play very, very quickly once Boundaries Crossed start to catch into play. And, yeah, we also got Devolution Spray, which wasn't that good, but, I mean, it still was in the game, and it still saw a fair amount of play. Tool Scrapper was a huge card in this set, as it allowed you to remove their tool cards, which would also be a great way to counter Garbodor in the future, but once Starlight Megaphone got reprinted, this card just died off. We also got Rescue Scarf, which at the time we didn't have Floatstone, so, well, this was the card you'd put on Garbodor, or even Giant Cape, which was also printed in this set, but that card wasn't as good. The two blend energies, which were nice, and also helped Empoleon Terrakion see more play, as it offered the typing for it. Gabite was in the set for the ability Dragon Claw, and some other shiny Pokemon was that Shiny Superior, which wasn't that good, and this card was pretty good with the Electric, as Dragon Pulse was a very strong attack. 1 for 40 was pretty decent, and it was a shiny, so people didn't expect this card at all. Some other thing, Crocodile. Crocodile never saw much play anyways from Dark Explorer, so people just ignored that card. Shiny Reuniclus was pretty nice, as Reuniclus was a pretty decent card. With the rotation of Vileplume, the Truth kind of left the format, but Reuniclus was still nice to have a shiny version of. After Dragons Exalted, we got Boundaries Crossed, which was another massive set, as it offered a new M-Board-like card. The biggest card from this set was most likely this Blastoise card, as, like I said, it actually just won Worlds, but Blastoise had the ability Deluge, which was pretty much a water version of Inferno Fandango on the M-Board from the Black and White set. This was a great card with the card Keldeo EX, which was an amazing combo and one of the better decks in the format. Keldeo would also see a lot of play with its amazing Russian ability, which allowed you to, well, get off special conditions once Floatstone got made, and Keldeo was just a very nice EX attacker with Blastoise. Squirtle was nice because it really helped against this thing, Landorus. Wait, that's not Landorus. Landorus EX. Landorus EX, at the time, well, it didn't see much play because Keldeo saw a lot of play. Lando is proved to be the strongest EX attacker, mainly because 1 for 30 may not be a lot, but then you factor in Fury's Fist, which gave a strong energy, Fighting Stadium, and even with the Muscle Band, Landorus EX proved to be one of the most deadliest Pokemon EX ever made. We didn't really get many other good EXs in this set. We got stuff like Kyurems, but they weren't good, and unfortunately it didn't see play. We got a very nice ability in the term of Dusknoir. Dusknoir saw good play with its ability Sinister Hand, which could manipulate all that damage and really change the game in your favor most of the time. This saw play with Empoleon. Flygon also saw play with Dusknoir, because Slant Slammer allowed you to put 1 damage count on everything in between turns, which proved to be a very strong ability. We also got some shiny cards. We got Shiny Golurk, which wasn't that good. Shiny Tracheon, which was pretty decent, but Shiny Altaria was nice for those Garchomp Altaria decks. However, we got introduced a brand new kind of card, the A-Spec card, which proved to be a nice addition to the game. A-Specs were cards you could only play 1 of, but they were very strong cards. An example, Computer Search. This is probably undoubtedly the best A-Spec card. Discard 2 cards from your hand, search for your deck for any card you want. A very big card in the game, and a very nice card to have. Fortunately, it's rotating. Another cool thing was the Full Art Supporter idea. Well, we already had Full Art, and we never had any others, like Full Art Skyla, Skyla got printed in the set, which was a very nice card. It allowed you to search deck for any trainer you wanted, like Rare Candy, to help those Blastoise decks. Full Art Cheren and Bianca were also nice, as these were supporters, so it saw a semi-amount of play, and it was nice to have them in a Full Art. However, we got the new edition of Shiny Item Cards, too. Shiny Item Cards were a cool addition, as this allowed you to bling out your deck a little more. But it played a huge role once Plasma Freeze came out. Believe me, we're going to get there, where shiny items became extremely relevant in terms of money. Next was Plasma Storm, which introduced kind of another new card, the Plasma Pokemon, which were basically just Pokemon with blue borders around them. The biggest one was Lugia EX. Well, didn't see play as it first came out, as we didn't have Deoxys and Thundurus, was still an interesting card to take a look at, as once Plasma Freeze came out, Lugia rose in popularity. We got Snorlax in the set, which didn't see much play, but its ability block was decent at the time. However, the biggest EX I would say that saw most play of this set was Black Kyurem. This card saw a lot of play in Blastoise Keldeo as for lightning, and then the 3 water energies, you can do 200 damage. And then with a lot of other cards like Energy Retrieval and Superior Energy Retrieval in the next set, Black Kyurem proved to be a very threatening card for Blastoise Keldeo decks, making them 10 times more powerful than they already were. We also got Victini X. Didn't see that much play, but was still interesting to say the least. Cobalion EX was another card that didn't see too much play at the time, as metal types weren't really relevant, but Cobalion was still a nice EX to have, especially in the format now. We also got Klinklang, which this card saw a little bit of play with Cobalion, as it was a nice little combo, but didn't really prove that well, as Cobalion wasn't that great of a reliable attacker in most situations. Donphan was in this set, but it didn't see any play at all because we didn't have Strong Energy, Muscle Band, and Fight Stadium. But was still in this set anyways, as it would play a role later on. We also got Trubbish, which was a nice card to put with Garbodor, as it had the attack tool drop, which we'll get into a little later on. Free Flight Zubat was also in the set. Once again, didn't see any play, but became a big player later on. We got a nice tool card known as Bicycle, which was a nice little draw card, and was, nice little draw card to have 4 in your hand. It's a nice card. Colress Machine, which was nice for those plasma decks. Another new A-Spec card, which was very good, was Dowsing Machine, which allowed you to discard 2 cards from your hand, search your discard pile for a trainer card, and put it in your hand. This was a nice card. It allowed you to reuse those item cards. Basically, it was a dumbed-down version of Junk Arm, which was a very overpowered card at the time. Escape Rope was in this set, which is pretty much a reprint of Warp Point. The biggest bombshell I'd say in the set was by far Hypno Toxic Laser. One of the most hated cards in the game. This card is very, very powerful. Basically, because you poison them and you can put them to sleep, but combo that with Burbank City Gym, it allowed you to do extra damage, which proved to be a very strong combination, proving Hypnotoxic Laser Burbank City Gym to be one of the strongest combos in Pokemon trading card game history. We also got Colress, which is another very big supporter card in this set. As Colress allowed you to shuffle your hand in your deck, equal amount of bench Pokemon, which was a nice new addition and was a pretty decent card at the time, and increased in play once we got Skyfield, obviously, and Roaring Skies. We also got the Plasma Energy, which was used for those Plasma decks. We also got new shiny Pokemon, as in Blastoise, which was nice because Blastoise was already a very strong card. And then we also got a shiny Random Receiver, which was nice as Random Receiver. Did see a lot of play. After that, probably came the second biggest set we've had in the Black and White series, Plasma Freeze. And there were a ton of good cards in this set, I'm telling you right now. This set was full of good cards. The big ECXs people liked from this set were Deoxys, which helped out Lugia and Team Plasma decks and gave them huge popularity, with Thunder CX also, making it to be a very, very, very nice combo of cards, making another new deck into the scene. We also got Latias EX. Didn't see too much play, but had an interesting ability, which some people looked at, but never really considered. We got a new Dark-type attacker, which was nice for Darkrai decks, as in Mind Jack was a very nice attack, and a nice little non-EX attacker for those Darkrai decks, which continued to see a lot of play, especially after Verbank Laser got printed. Another nice card was Electrode, which had a nice ability, Magnetic Draw, where you just shuffle your hand, where you draw a card until you have 4 in your hand, which was a nice ability, and basically it was an ability of Bicycle, but was nice as it offered more draw support for some decks like Blastoise Keldeo. We got Execute in this set, which a lot of people liked because Propagation 2 Executes allowed you to do an Ultra Ball for free, but we'll get into Ultra Ball in just a minute. We got Executor in this set, which didn't see any play at all, but obviously it saw play a little later on. We got Plasma Kyurem in this, I almost said Black Kyurem, but we got Plasma Kyurem in this set, which was good as it played a big role in Team Plasma decks. People also used it in Blastoise Keldeo as a non-EX attacker, and it was very nice in those decks. We also got Weavile, which people consider to be a cool combo with Execute. Didn't see too much play, but was still an interesting combo to say the least. Two really nice cards from this set were Flareon and Leafeon, proving to be the two biggest Evolution Plasma cards that we've had. Flareon saw a decent amount of play at first, as it was a nice little rogue deck to try out. Leafeon was alright. It was a great counter to Keldeo, but never really was that relevant. But these cards would be a little good later on. We also got Dragonite, which some people looked at because Stefan was a pretty strong attack. Obviously, it's Quaking Punch, but for 3 energies and did 60. But didn't see all that much play. we got Mr. Mime, which is an amazing card to counter stuff like land or CX. This was just a very nice card, because Bench Barrier was a very powerful ability. But boy, did we get some other good stuff in this set. Superior Energy Retrieval really helped out those Blastoise Keldeo decks, especially with Black Kyurem and Keldeo. It allowed you to get back all those water energies you had to discard. Team Plasma Ball was nice to help out with, obviously, the Plasma decks, search out stuff like Deoxys to increase that Lugia damage. We got Shadow Triad, which was cool. Didn't see too much play, but it was nice to get back those Hypnotoxic lasers. Floatstone was another big tool because it helped in Garbodor and was just a nice tool all around. Life Dew was in this set, not that great of a card. Some people liked it, but obviously some people didn't, as Computer Search and Dowsing Machine were a million times better. We got some nice full arts. We finally got our full art Juniper a lot of people wanted, as Juniper being the most popular supporter card. We finally got a full art version of it, and boy was it nice. Continuing full art supporters, we also got full art Getsus, which was also pretty nice. As Getsus didn't see too much play, but was still an interesting card to say the least. But boy, did this set excel in the shiny factory. There were so many good shiny cards in this set, it was unbelievable. Starting the shinies off here, we had Garchomp, which, oh, this card looks sexy. Garchomp was already a decent card with Altaria, since we already had a shiny Altaria. People like to do the shiny Garchomp Altaria deck. But the shinies just got better and better in this set. Sigilif, another nice card that saw play, was nice as we got a shiny version of it, as people really liked its ability Safeguard. But they kept getting better, as we got a shiny version of Garbodor, which was another very, very big card at the time, and still is. Shiny Garbodor was a very nice card to have in this set. But it keeps getting better, as then we go into the Pokemon. We have Shiny Empoleon, which was very nice, because Empoleon was another decent card at the time. And boy, Shiny Empoleon is sexy. But the shiny cards do not stop there, as they got even better. We got Shiny Max Potion, which was nice, as Max Potion was another very big card in the game. But nothing could ever amount to the amount of money the next shiny card would be. The card everyone and their mama wants. Gold Shiny Ultra Ball. This card goes for over like $120. It is a very expensive card, and still is. And it's only going to go up as Plasma Freeze is going to rotate, making this card a little more tough to obtain. Shiny Ultra Ball was a huge game changer, as Ultra Ball was a must-have of any deck. So it would only be right that Gold Ultra Ball would be extremely expensive. After Plasma Freeze came Plasma Blast, which was a little bit of a weaker set, but was still pretty nice. The big cards in this set were Virizion and Genesect, also proving to be a nice little deck and a huge big deck, as it would be nice because Genesect could, well, combo really well with G-Booster. And G-Booster allowed you to do 200 damage with Genesect, which was extremely powerful because you could get around any EX Pokemon you wanted. Another huge card was Jirachi EX, which was a big card in this set. A Stellar Guidance allowed you to grab a supporter card when you played it. Some people at the first were like, it's 90 HP, it's a bench sitter. But it proved to be a very effective card in the game nonetheless. Otherwise, we didn't get too many other interesting cards in this set. I mean, we got Sigilif, which was alright. Good with the Tool Drop Trubbish for Plasma Storm. We got Blastoise Repin, even though we already had a reprint in the Plasma Storm set. Suicune was interesting, as it was a little better than Sigilif, but like I said, nothing too big. Some other things. Silver Bangle is a nice card, I guess. I mean, it was a cool card, as it definitely helped against EXs, as we needed a counter to EXs. I, by the way, think this card should be in every single format, like Ultra Ball and Juniper's ability is. Silver Mirror was a nice card, as it was a great way to counter Team Plasma decks, and it was a cool card. I mean, people needed a way to counter Team Plasma decks. Right. And yeah, G-Booster, the last A-Spec we would ever get, technically was in this set, which really comboed well with Genesect. But we also got some interesting shiny stuff. First off, we got Shiny Dusknoir, which was a cool one, because Dusknoir is a playable card. Shiny Virizion, even though we had a full art, this card wasn't that good to begin with. Shiny Execute was nice, as Execute was another nice card in the game. But we also got Shiny Rare Candy, which is, oh boy, a very nice shiny card. This may be the second best shiny card we've ever had, just because it's, well, it's Rare Candy. Rare Candy is a very, very powerful card in the game, and it's a very, very loved card, and the shiny version makes it even cooler. Full Art Iris was nice, but Iris just wasn't that good. But after Plasma Blast, we had Legendary Treasures, the finale of the black and white set. This set wasn't really that interesting, to be honest with you. We got a reprint of Mewtwo, which was a huge card. We got a reprint of Mew EX, which was another nice card to get a reprint of. We got a reprint of Darkrai EX, another big EX. A reprint of Lugia, another big EX. We got a reprint of the Dragon Reshies for, like, I think, like, the 17th time, I don't know. We got a cool gold art version, even though it's hard to see them. We got a reprint of the Reshiram and Zekrom EX, which weren't really that good to begin with. We got a reprint of Victini, which was alright, I guess. We got a reprint of Victory Star Victini, which was cool. The reprint of Emboar was also nice. Reprint of Garchomp is alright, even though we already have the shiny Garchomp. The reprint of Hydreigon was also pretty decent, as Darkrai Hydreigon was still an interesting deck. Reprint of Zoroark was alright, same with the reprint of Tracheon. Reprint of Sigilyph was pretty nice. Reprint of Garbodor was amazing. Reprint of Keldeo, though, was also pretty good, as Keldeo was another nice card in the game. And then the Kyurem and Seismitoad reprints were alright. Seismitoad was alright, though, just because he had Meloetta in this set. We also got a reprint of Crushing Hammer. Unfortunately, it's still in the game because it got reprinted in an X and Y theme deck, which is really stupid. I really hope this card goes away, for God's sakes. Yeah, that was the Legendary Treasure set, wrapping it up. Kind of a weak set. A lot of nice shinies in this set, but not the best set in the world. But that was it. After Legendary Treasures, we got the X and Y set, which introduced new Pokemon and a new type. But once X and Y rotates out, we'll probably be doing an X and Y history video. Who knows? So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more. I hope you guys enjoyed the history of the black and white sets, as we got a whole history of what it was like when black and white first came out all the way to Legendary Treasures. A very long video. It's like almost 40 minutes, but hope you guys enjoyed nonetheless. This took a long time to make. I'm like out of breath. I'm tired now. I need to go lay down. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this trip down memory lane. And I'll catch you guys later. Adios. Boo.